afternoon from Los Angeles, and welcome to Stock Market Today. On today's show, we're going to break down the chart action for Micron as well as Twitter and Chegg, but we begin with a look at the major indexes. It's Alyssa Coram here with Ken Shreve, and Ken, we saw gains across the board today. The Nasdaq up about 0.7% in the S&P 500, and Dow gaining about 0.3% each. Both of those two indexes joining the Nasdaq now at new all-time highs.
Yeah, new highs for all three indexes today, and like you said, the Nasdaq outperformed. They're going to finish up near its session high, it looks like, and we had software stocks bounce back after a not so great session yesterday. We were just talking about the semiconductor stocks, 2 days in a row of explosive gains for the Philadelphia Semiconductor Index, and it was basically just kind of flat today, so it's doing a good job holding gains of, like I said, Tuesday and Wednesday. We had earnings from Qualcomm that kind of cast a pall on the sector, but that stock recovered well off session lows.
All right, well, let's take a look at Micron out of the chip sector. Ticker MU, that stock gaining a 3.4% gain today, tacking on to its gains for the week here. So we're going to be taking a look at a weekly chart of Micron. This name, after a recent breakout, pulled back, and it's now recovering, rebounding off of that 10-week line, Ken.
Yeah, we like to look at daily charts and weekly charts. This is a weekly of Micron, and just really a good solid example of what a test of the 10-week moving average should look like. So comments from Raymond James were pretty positive. They're talking about a recovery that a lot of other people have been talking about, but the upgrade to strong buy came from a prior rating of market outperformed. So it was a pretty significant bullish comments, a $70 price target. But again, stock breaks out of a base and clears a buy point. You always want to see a good solid first test of the 10-week moving average, and you got it in spades in Micron.
Yeah, that's right, and that $70 price target comes after the stock closing today around the just under the 59 mark. So we'll have to see if it does have that much upside, and if so, how quickly. I
think chip stocks are still a very compelling story in this market. Everybody's talking about a lot of yellow flags for the major stock indexes, and they are out there. There's no question about it. But market-leading growth stocks continue to look pretty good, and semiconductor stocks still look like they might want to lead further.
Okay, well, we'll have to keep tabs on that. And shifting gears here, taking a look at Twitter, that stock flying today, up 15% on its earnings, retaking its 200-day line. We did have a miss on earnings, but sales better than expected, up 11% for the quarter, accelerating from the prior quarter. And it was really this daily active users, monetizable daily active users that grew over 20% to beat expectations there. So a key metric for Twitter investors we're watching.
Yeah, monetizable daily active users at 152 million. That was above, about a little over 5 million above expectations. I think the estimate was for 147.5. But this is a look at a daily chart for Twitter, and you can see 3 months ago, this is a stock that lost 20% when they reported third quarter earnings. They had a lot of advertising issues that really hurt advertising revenue, and I mean the stock was down 20% in 1 day. So it's been slowly heading higher. A lot of people on IBD Live were wondering if it's buyable today on this gap above the 200-day moving average, and I'm sure some aggressive traders might have nibbled, but I remember on IBD Live and we were talking about it. Really, what you want to see here is just kind of tight sideways action after the gap up in price. So it that would be ideal, just kind of tight sideways trading, and maybe you get an alternate entry, but don't think it's a buy right here.
All right, well, we'll keep an eye for that tight sideways action. And last but not least, looking at Chegg here, setting up in a base, and we have earnings just around the corner. That stock is about 2% below a potential buy point here, Ken.
Yeah, this is a very interesting company doing a little work on Chegg, and they used to be known as really the Netflix for textbooks, and they are really undergoing a digital transformation. I think about 80% of their revenue in Q3 Q3 was digital, but they're a education technology company, provider of online textbook rental services, tutoring services. So they're really there for the college student, offering them affordable options. And they have earnings Monday after the close, but this is really a good solid base taking shape here. You got a 43.97 buy point, and we'll see what the results look like late Monday. But really solid chart here and pretty good fundamentals too.
Yeah, and I think nice to see that handle forming, that nice tight handle, because the depth of this, the cup part of this base at 41%, and our research does show that bases with a depth of over 40% do have a higher likelihood of failing, but hopefully this handle here kind of mitigates some of that risk.
Yeah, ideally when you see a cup with handle base form, you really want that pullback to be around 30%, 32%. Some will go up to 35%, but once they go over 35%, and it's a good point about Chegg that there's a 41% pullback. We're seeing a lot of cup bases with that pullback at this point, but a good handle area forming here, good fundamentals, operating in a really nice niche market, and we'll see if it can muster a breakout.
Yeah, strong fundamental story. So earnings could definitely be a catalyst come Monday.
Monday after the close.
Okay. All right, everyone. Thanks so much for watching. Before we go, we do have a webinar coming up for you next week. You can catch all the details at investors.com/webinar, but it's all about how to invest using the CanSlim investing system that we use. It's on Thursday, February 20th at 11:30 a.m. Pacific with our very own Matt and Amy.
A couple of seasoned veterans that have a lot of webinar experience, so that'll be a good one.
Yes, make sure to check that out. And also, our latest Investing with IBD podcast episode has dropped. Our host, Arusha Pires, was able to sit down with virtually, I guess, because he joined remote, sit down virtually with JC Parrots of All Star Charts. They talked about the current market and sectors to watch. So be sure to check that out at investors.com/podcast. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We'll see you right back here tomorrow.